Hello, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica, and in this video I'll be talking about the bookish activities we have going on at the Lovestead in the months of July, August, and September 2025. If you're new here, welcome. If not, welcome back. And if you are stumbling across my channel for the first time, I like to read books from all age ranges, from middle grade to YA to adult. And I tend to read books that fall into one of two categories. So like on the one hand, I like books that are like dark and twisted and demented. And then on the complete opposite hand, I like books that are like cozy and whimsical and lighthearted. And so I read from all different genres. I read fantasy, romance, thriller, horror, mystery, cozy mystery, nonfiction, classics, literary fiction. I think the only two genres I don't really dip my toes in that often are westerns and sci-fi, although I'm open to trying more in those genres. Since I do tend to read some books that fall into that dark and twisted category, I recommend checking trigger warnings before picking up any of the books that I talk about in this video. I don't really share triggers in my videos because I think that they're spoilery. But if you have any concerns, I recommend using the app Storygraph to check for triggers. They're excellent. And then if this is your first time meeting me, I'm so happy that you're here. I live on a small urban homestead in Northeast Iowa, and my last name is Love, and that's where Lady Lovestead Reads comes from. It's the busy season here with summer and summer gardens. I have a Patreon, and the Patreon is strictly a tip jar. And all of the activities that my Patreon group does, my little community does, you can access completely for free because I believe in equity when it comes to socioeconomic status. And I would never want someone's financial situation to block them from being able to participate in enjoying reading with others, and doing bookish activities with others. So the Patreon is strictly a tip jar if you feel so inclined to leave me a tip. There's different levels of tips that you can leave, and the only thing that a Patreon tip gives you access to for the month is voting rights for the buddy reads, the Trilogy-alongs, and the Watachalongs. Otherwise, you can do absolutely everything else here for free. Most of the activities happen on my Discord server, which is called the Lovestead. It is sort of cottage farmhouse themed, and so there are different discussion threads that mimic like a room in a house. So we've got a thread for gardens. We've got a thread that's called in the library. We talk about all kinds of things related to books. We've got a thread called in the kitchen where we share recipes, so on and so forth. It's a wonderful group of folks there at the Lovestead. We are small but mighty, and it's just one of my great joys in life to have the privilege to sort of foster this community. And yeah, so without further ado, let's talk about what we're doing in the months of July, August, and September, or quarter three. Quarter three of 2025. First up, we have buddy reads. Every month I pull a book from my bookshelves to read, and I rotate between the darker books and the lighter books. On odd numbered months, I do the darker books. On even numbered months, we do the cozier light books. So July being an odd number book, we've got a darker story. I pulled a thriller called The Ingenue by Rachel Kapelke Dale. Rachel Kapelke Dale wrote the book The Ballerinas, and I read that in, I want to say 2022 or 2023, and it was one of my favorite books of the year. Like, it shocked me how good it was because I'd never heard of this writer before. Nobody had ever talked about that book before, and so I'm very excited to pick up this. This is a book she wrote after The Ballerinas, so I don't know if it's her second book or where it is in her library of work or her body of work, but it is one of her more recent publications. So let me read the dust jacket. It says, when former piano prodigy Saskia Kreis returns to Milwaukee after her mother's sudden death, Hey Sherry, one of our Lovesteaders is in Wisconsin. She expects to inherit the family estate, the Elf House. One of the city's exquisite 19th century mansions, the Elf House was the backdrop to Saskia's complicated coming of age, a period when her musical career reached its peak, earning her a coveted spot at Juilliard. Though she's since given up piano, she has lived in New York City for nearly 2 decades. Saskia has always known that the Elf House is her birthright. But with the bombshell revelation that her mother's will bequeathed the estate to Patrick Kentner, a man with whom Saskia shares a troubled history, she is forced to re-examine her past and the romantic relationship that changed the course of her life. It's giving me a little bit of Night Film vibes by Marisha Pessl, not gonna lie, you know, with like the pianist and everything. So it's also a fairly short book. How many pages is it? Yeah, it's exactly 300 pages. What happens with my discussion threads for the buddy reads is I leave the threads up for a whole year. So even if you can't get to this in July and read it in July, if you read it later on in the year, you'll still be able to participate in the discussion because the thread will stay up until the end of next July 2026. So keep that in mind as I talk about these things. There's so much flexibility in how and when you would participate in any of these activities. August being a lighter month, I went with our first nonfiction that we've done as a buddy read, Talking as Fast as I Can by Lauren Graham. This is the actress who is one of the leads in the TV show Gilmore Girls. She plays Lorelai, if you're a fan of Gilmore Girls. And I believe this book focuses primarily on her career and maybe some of her other personal life stuff. So it says, in Talking as Fast as I Can, Lauren Graham hits pause for a moment and looks back on her life, sharing laugh-out-loud stories about growing up, starting out as an actress, and years later. It's a collection of candid and hilarious essays. Okay, so it's not necessarily a memoir. It sounds like it's memoir-style essays. And that one also is fairly short. So that comes in at just barely 200 pages. And then September, we're back at our Dark and Twisted stories. And I pulled Bonesmith by Nicki Preto. This is a YA grimdark fantasy, and it's the first book in a series. I don't know how many books are in the series. One moment, my cat Cherry needs me. All right, I'm sorry if I'm a little out of focus now. Whoop, because I've had to reposition myself to get my elderly girl situated. Oh, so yeah, my cat Cherry, she's 16. She's currently on kitty hospice, but she's rocking and rolling, all things considered. Okay, so the Bonesmith, let me read you the description. It says, in the Dominions, the dead linger, violent and unpredictable, unless a Bonesmith severs the ghosts from their earthly remains. For Bonesmith, Wren, becoming a Valkyr, a ghost-fighting warrior, is a chance to solidify her place in the noble house of Bone and impress her frequently absent father. But when sabotage causes Wren to fail her qualifying trial, she is banished to the border wall, the last line of defense against a wasteland called the Breach, where the vicious dead roam unchecked. Sounds awesome. So that's September. Those are the buddy reads. Another thing that I do on my Discord every month is once a month, at least, if not other random times, I do sprints on a Saturday. Call them Saturday sprints. We start them at noon Central Standard Time, and then I usually go until like 10, 11, 12 at night. Yeah, it's pretty no pressure. It's text only sprint, so you can come and you can read, you can do really whatever you want. It's just a chance for us to all hang out together virtually on a Saturday. So dates for upcoming Saturday sprints. July is July 26th. August is August 23rd. And September will be September 13th. Again, starting at noon Central Standard Time. If there's some sort of a change in that time, I usually will let you know in the Discord. Next, we've been reading trilogies. So we're doing one book a month of a trilogy with a month break in between series. So we started out in January, we read the 3 books in the Legendborn cycle. Here in May, June, and July, we are reading the Frostheart trilogy, which is a middle grade fantasy. In July, we'll be reading the 3rd book, which is Rise of the World Eater. This series is about Ash, who is a song weaver, and he goes on a lot of adventures with his Yeti guardian. I read the first one in May. I didn't think about that for a second. Read the first one in May. Loved it. If you watch Gavin's channel called Gavin Reads It All, this is his favorite middle grade series of all time. And he used to primarily be a middle grade content creator, and he was a middle grade bookseller. So I definitely trust his recommendation when it comes to middle grades, and loved the first book. So we'll be finishing this up in July. And then in August, we will take a break, not have any trilogy books to read in August. And then in September, I'm doing a co-production with my friend Mr. Francy at Mr. Francy Reads. He has a Patreon Discord, also free like mine is, called The Sparkle Cafe. And so we are combining forces, and we're going to do a co-hosted buddy read, trilogy-along, of a cozy mystery series called The Emergency Dessert Squad by Laura Bradford. Now, Mr. Francy only reads cozy mysteries, and he has read other work by Laura Bradford and said that she's a really good author. That's all I really need to know to do this series, co-hosted read-along with him. And so in September, we will read book 1, which is called Eclair and Present Danger. And this book is available on audio if you're interested. Those are the trilogy-alongs. Next, I do a seasonal 24 and 48 readathon. This originally started out as me trying to do a thing where I read for 24 hours in the span of 48 hours, but it's become since then way more flexible, and everybody has kind of done my seasonal readathon in their own way, which I love. So I definitely encourage you to be creative and do this in any way that works for you. It'll be in the month of July. It's our summer 24 and 48, and there are 4 prompts on a bingo board card. The first prompt is a freebie. Just read any book. You don't even have to finish it. Just read a book. The second one is do a cozy activity, and that's always on there too. So with these 24 and 48s, there's always the freebie with the free book, and there's always the do a cozy activity. The third thing is to drink a cold or iced drink, any kind of cold or iced drink that you like that feels summery to you. And then the fourth one is to try something new. So maybe you try a new author, a new genre, a new series. Maybe it has nothing to do with books. Maybe you try a new recipe. Maybe you check out a new store in your town. Maybe you visit a new park, try a new craft, try anything new. And so do this at some point in the month of July, whether you want to do like a thing where you read for 24 hours straight, or you want to do 24 hours and 48 hours over a weekend. Or what I did last time for the spring one was I set my timer on my phone and I just tried to read for 24 hours before the end of the month. That worked too. So it really is kind of a make it your own, to make it as fun as possible for you, and to make it so you're not required to do like specific books that you might not be in the mood to do and that kind of thing. Would love to have you join us, and there's a chat thread for the 24 and 48 readathons. And then last, we've been watching TV. So we've been doing little watch-alongs. I love TV. I like TV way better than movies because you can get so invested in the characters because you're with them for a longer period of time, right? So we have been watching The Goodwitch, and we started this in February, and there are 7 seasons. So we're getting towards the tail end of The Goodwitch here this summer. In July, we'll watch season 6 of The Goodwitch, and in August, we'll watch season 7, which is the last season. The Goodwitch is a Hallmark original series. It's super cozy. It's like a warm hug, and the group of us that have been watching it have really been enjoying it. And then I do these discussion questions at the end of each season. That's really fun and makes for a really fun discussion of each season. So then that'll wrap up in August, and then the next show that we will watch September, October, November is Wednesday, the Netflix original. So we will watch season 1 in September in preparation for season 2, which releases part 1 of season 2 in October and part 2 of season 2 in November. So the timing really works out pretty perfectly for that. And then in December, maybe we'll take a break, or maybe we could focus on doing like Christmas movies, or, you know, something like that. You'll have to let me know your ideas for what we would want to do in terms of a watch along for December. Yeah. All right, those are all the activities we have coming up at the Lovestead. If any of that sounds interesting or fun to you, definitely join the Discord down below. And you don't necessarily have to participate in any of this stuff to be a part of the community either. If you feel like you would just feel at home, you like the vibe, you're more than welcome as well. So that'll do it. For our emoji, what do we want to do for an emoji? Leave me either a piano or music notes for the ingenue. Make sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye.